So would you allow your child to be
injected?
I almost said impregnated. It's not the right word. Injected with a microchip to help them, Dan, to learn, problem solve. It's going to make school 100 times easier.
And if you don't, your child is going to be put in the slow class.
Exactly. So,
and he's not going to be eligible for university.
Exactly.
And he has to be at the back of the line for scholarships. I mean, there's all kinds of implications that fall out of your refusal that we have to be aware of. So you get your social, what's that score, your social score up. What was that?
Social credit score?
Social credit score.
Yeah.
Because those are coming.
That's the trajectory of humanity is heading towards that. But yes, all of these wonderful things that can happen with this microchip in your brain, but also the question I have is, does this mean that your brain is hackable? Are people able to hack something in your brain to make you think things?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you take the benefits of it, and
mm-hmm.
then there's also the dangers of it.
Can they lower your resistance with it? Can they make you more compliant?
Mm.
Can they make you more curious? Can they make you more creative?
Mm. Can they enhance or lower sex drives? Right? I mean, there's all kinds of things that they can do.
Can they decrease your will?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, I've just talked myself out of it. Yeah. I'm hoping for the great reset before.
I'm a major thumbs down guy on this because I believe this is a way by which I don't ever want to put myself at risk at giving up my autonomy as a human being.
Yeah. And I agree fully with that. Here's my question though. Do you think your kids would be as resistant to it as you are?
No.
And do you think your grandkids would be as resistant to it?
Yeah, I think they're purely going to, again, go back to what I said last episode. They're going to look at this convenience. They will lay down their rights in freedom for convenience and ease.
So in terms of progression of humanity, even if you resist, it's only just a matter of 40 years, maybe 80 years before
everyone will.
Yeah. Everybody falls in.
Now, I will become Amish if this becomes the norm. I will start my own commune. I live in Lincoln County. We'll find about 200 acres, and we will go there, people.
And I believe you.
I need
a reason to buy some goats.
I need a doctor. I'm just teasing. I'm serious, man. This kind of stuff freaks me out. All right. Number 4. Here's the 4th transhumanist area that they're working on. Life extension. Transhumanists aim to extend human lifespan, improve health through medical advancements. This includes research into regenerative medicine, nanotechnology-based therapies, and anti-aging interventions. I mean, Dan, they are thinking about injecting or putting in you, because now through the head of a needle, they can put a microchip. Imagine, Dan, they say, hey, we're going to inject you with some nano machines, and it's going to completely clean up your arteries.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? Do you do it?
Well, to some extent, I've had it done. And it wasn't through a machine, but it was through an artificial stent. So I've allowed them to, to go in. Yeah. And would I do it? I probably would if, at that level. It's not going to change the way I think, but it'll change the way I function.
So thumbs up or life extension, thumbs up or thumbs down?
I have a hard time in anything that takes away God's sovereign authority in my life. And nobody can do that.
Right.
And you have to ask yourself, well, then why am I taking pills?
Right.
So I'm going to give a modified yes on this one.
Yes.
Just
okay.
A reserved yes.
I give a reserved yes. I think that there's some idea of this idea of regenerative medicine, anti-aging interventions. I think there's only so much they can do. I think, again, this is kind of trying to erase the curse of the fall and death that we have on us as humans. But there's only so much they can do, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, and it would have to be more than extending my life. It'd have to be improving the quality of my life that was extended.
Yeah.
Because knowing how I'm aging at this point and seeing the progression of that, I don't want to live to be 120 and to, be wrapped in a blanket sitting in a wheelchair somewhere. I don't want
to live to be 120.
I don't.
Yeah.
But if I feel like I do now at 120, I'm down. I love my life. I love traveling. I've got things to do. So a lot of it depends on that.
Yeah.
But I think also we have to appreciate the fact that ultimately we have an appointment with God.
Yeah. It's not going to erase the issue of death because we can't. I mean,
No,
God,
that's a curse. It's
one
there.
of the things that God said in the book of in Genesis after the flood was he said, all right, the lifespan of man is going to be about 120 years, which means if we do everything right, we're going to live about 120 years old. And that's good genes, eating healthy, no
Post-flood.
ecological, biological, no, you know what I mean? Like humans have the capacity. I have a hard time thinking if God has hardwired that we're ever going to be able to overcome that barrier.
Yeah, because there's another passage that talks about 70.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
well, so are you going to get to the one where it talks about being able to transfer our consciousness? Is that one of them?
That's coming up.
Okay, I just didn't know.
You're getting antsy on me, Dan.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we were going to cover it.
All right.
Because if not, I was going to jump in.
Okay, so
I'll stop jumping in.
So
now.
I think 4. That's the one we've given thumbs up on, right? That's
the first one we've given a full.
We both had modified life extent. Both number 4. Okay, number 5. Virtual reality and simulation. Transhumanists are interested in immersive virtual reality and simulation technologies that can enhance human experiences and provide new avenues for learning, exploration, and personal growth. So, Dan, all you need to do is put those goggles on every day, go to your job, go visit Ireland. I mean, you will experience life to its fullest in the metaverse.
Yeah, and this is so complicated because part of me says, absolutely. Would I like to go back in time and have a conversation with George Washington? Totally.
Yeah.
You know, would I like to be able to go places in the world that I'll never be? Yes. Do I think this is an appropriate way for sexual expression? Absolutely not.
Right. Right.
And there's some that make the argument, well, if you let them immerse themselves in a metaverse where there is no bounds of morality and people can act out on their more base impulses, like pedophiles, I will not call them minor attracted persons.
Right.
Then that way they'll be less likely to do it in person.
No,
but that's where it leads, and that's where I'm concerned. And then we already see it now with them making movies of people that are not consenting to make movies, but they shows their images.
Right.
So all of these have caveats.
I would do if the dial of thumbs up, thumbs down, this would be I would say if thumbs down was 180 degrees down this way, this is probably like 135 degrees
down.
It's down, right? Southwest, it's heading like it's not a full thumbs down because I do think that there's probably some, I would love to go visit some places in the world, put some goggles on and see some things. I think that's a cool thing to do, but I think the potential for harm, I mean, you've got stories or books like Ready Player One, which were again, they're science fiction, but what can happen is people want to live in their virtual world more than they live in the real world. And I think that's the danger is we see this already with kids and people in front with their devices saying the digital world is more important to me than what's happening out here. So I just think that, I think there are some very small percentage of things that I think are okay for virtual reality and simulation, but I'm not for this idea of I'm going to live in this world.
Yeah. The other thing I'm concerned about, and I think it's revealing itself right now, is that we're seeing huge numbers of mental health issues based on the fact that kids are immersing themselves in this technology at this level.
Yeah.
So if they can get addicted and have mental health ramifications to Nintendo and PS, whatever number it is now, certainly if you were to put on goggles and start experiencing, I mean, I've watched, YouTube videos of kids hurting themselves accidentally,
right.
Playing with goggles on. So I think there's some ramifications that we have yet to discover.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Here we go, Dan. Number 6, mind uploading. Transhumanists contemplate the possibility of uploading human consciousness into digital form, effectively transferring a person's mind into a computer or synthetic body. This idea raises questions about identity, continuity of consciousness, and the potential for virtual immortality.
So I don't know whether you know this or not, but like you said, television art is often ahead. There is a television show on Amazon. What do they call it? What do you have to be? Prime.
Amazon Prime.
It's called Upload.
Oh, okay.
And it deals with this very topic.
Really?
Where you can live beyond in consciousness in virtual reality.
Hmm.
And even in this TV show, you pay for like you can stay in the deluxe suite if you paid this much money upon death, and your family pays a monthly fee, or you're in the bottom, or you're in, you get so many
Hmm.
bits per month. It's very interesting.
I just don't think that, I'll be honest with you, I don't think we're ever going to get here. I think that they can create a false sense. Like for example, I think we're probably a few years away of you being able, like, they'll be able to create a program for you to, they'll listen to you talk. You can upload videos of yourself. They'll follow you around for maybe, for however long you want. They'll look at your photos. They'll look at things that you've written. The AI program will be a student of you. You might be able to just walk around and them hear you talk for a month. And what they'll do is they'll create a digital form of you that anytime that after you pass away that you want to talk with Uncle Joe or Dan Burrell, I put on my goggles and I want to visit Dan Burrell, and they, from your past history, and I ask you questions, they'll be able to interact with a simulated version of you.
I don't know whether you know this. They do have that now in an AI form, and they're using it to provide closure to people who have sudden deaths for the survivors. So you can go talk to your father who was killed in a car wreck, and he can provide you with some level of comfort.
But I would like to see that version right now. I'm just saying it's going to be, if this is beta version, I think it's going to be really, I think within 5 years it's going to feel like lifelike.
Yeah.
But those are the kinds of things that I think consciousness is related to our soul. So therefore, when we die, we're not going to be able to upload our consciousness to a computer. I just don't think that's possible.
I agree.
But what do you think about the mind uploading for people to experience their relatives for forever? Yeah. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm a thumbs down on that. I don't think it is spiritually and emotionally healthy to do so.
No, I don't either.
At the same time, would I like them to have preserved the knowledge of a Hawking? Would I like for them to have preserved the dastardliness of a Hitler so that we can study what made him the awful person he is? So there are some cases where I think it would be interesting. But I don't know that the upsides outweigh the downsides.
Yeah, the positives don't outweigh the negatives. I'm a huge thumbs down person on this. I just think that you're playing God with this one. If God wants life and death to happen, you will, what I believe will happen is you will prolong the grief that people really have. And you will mess with people's minds, and you talk about emotional issues people are going to have. It's going to be, I think
the old guy that goes and visits his wife at the cemetery once a week suddenly is talking to her all day long every day, and he never moves away from that. Yeah.
It's just it's a Pandora's box I don't want to even think about. So, okay, we're both thumbs down on mind uploading. Last one, artificial general intelligence. Transhumanists discuss the development of advanced artificial intelligence systems that could surpass human intelligence and contribute to the enhancement of human capabilities. They explore the potential benefits and risks associated with artificial general intelligence and advocate for its responsible development. This is what's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, this train has left the station.
This is the idea of trying to develop the best AI system, the best algorithm, the smartest, whatever it is. That's what we're going for right now. And I don't think that there's anything you and I can say or do. We just have to realize the train has left the station. We just pray to God it doesn't run it over or run into anything. Yep. Right?
Yeah, and that's where I think, just raising the awareness of the general population. One of my concerns that, much of higher education has become deeply involved in indoctrination is that they are systematically shutting out future voices of caution based on rational and theological arguments. Yeah. Because you cannot succeed, you will not get the promotions, you will not even get job offers unless you have the right social credit score, or unless you have the right resume, unless you've been able to go to the right colleges and universities. And then again, you create, and this is one of the dangers of transhumanism that I wrote down, is you create these artificially designed categories and classes of people that go back to Animal Farm.
Mm.
Two legs good, four legs better. Uh, you know, so you get to, is it four legs? I can't remember which of the line, but that's one of the intrinsic dangers of it,
Yeah.
is that they always shoot for equality, and there's never going to be equality.
Every time you shoot for equality, you end up with a class system.
Yep.
That's just
Every time.
The human examples of this are countless. So
Yeah. So when we go back and look at concerns, I think the concerns are the impact it has on how we reproduce ourselves.
Yep.
Because it can lead to artificial reproduction, manipulated procreation, eugenics.
Yes. Pretty scary.
It ends the nuclear family.
Mm.
And I don't think that's good for civilization. It's something that God created.
That's right.
The third thing is it requires artificially designed standards for morality and ethics outside of God. The fourth thing is it eventually erases diversity. You lose gender, and eventually you lose race, because race causes divisions. We don't like division, so let's eliminate race. And so they can create a mishmash of all the races. And then there is this creation of the social inequalities that are related to the class system that it's going to create. Bill Gates is an example of this. And Bill Gates, multi-billionaire, and he's wanted to use his money in ways that changes mankind. And he's tried to eliminate malaria and, TB and different things. But he said this. He said, it seems pretty egocentric while we still have malaria and TB for rich people to fund things so that they can live longer. And he wants to be the both and guy. I want to be able to live longer, but I also want to eliminate TB and malaria.
Yeah.
Oh, and he also wants to be able to cheat on his wife and have affairs with all kinds of movie starlets. But
just throw that in there.
I'd say there's one other area, and that is this. Ultimately, what happens whenever we produce something, because we have a fallen sin nature, is we become more efficient in the way we kill other people.
And I wouldn't just say that. We become more proficient in all depravity.
In all depravity, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you stop and think, many of the inventions that we commonly use today, things like computers, nuclear power, tracked vehicles, flashlights, jet engines, air traffic control, radar, radio, synthetic rubber and oil, drones, all of these began in an effort to be more efficient at the way you kill people in war.
That's 100%.
They were created by the military complex.
That's right.
And then they found civilian applications for them.
And
so that makes me, if these are all coming out, what is going on in the labs that are creating this that we know nothing about?
I know. It's kind of scary when you think about these kinds of things. We're on the deep. I mean, we typically deal with a lot of churchy things, primarily Christian things, but this issue, this new continent, like I mentioned in the very first episode, that humanity's walking upon, I think that we as Christians have to maintain our spiritual sensitivity and our moral footing, or else we will get swept away with the zeitgeist of the age. I just think that we've got to make sure. I think it's worth having one more conversation. I'd like to tie up some loose ends because I think there's a couple other issues I want us to talk about next episode. But to me, at the end of the day, this transhumanism conversation really boils down to: do I trust the parameters that God has given humanity, or do I say, no, God, I want to do what I want to do? And that's really at the root of all these things. Yes, are there potentially good things that we can do with technology? Yes. But what is the heart behind a lot of these things?
Yeah.
It's to unshackle ourselves from the authority of God.
Yeah.
And that to me is at the base, that's the fundamental problem that I have with a lot of these.
And
issues.
even people who deny the existence of God see the danger of where we're headed, and they're saying, let's tap the brakes.
Yeah.
They're saying,
this
is, the guy from Google resigned the other day.
Right.
And his basic line is, we're moving so fast, I can't remain in my role and warn you. So we need to really evaluate this before we force God's hand on it.
Yeah, and I really believe that God is sovereign over all. I can't tell you what God's going to do. I just know this, There's been plenty of times when God saw the evil of humanity and the wickedness and the plans of men and said, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And he has, don't fear the great reset of man. I wouldn't even say don't fear the great reset of God. Just understand that God laughs at the plans of humanity. And so I think those are the things we hold on to. Don't get scared. Don't be fearful. Just know that God is the great equalizer of all things at the end of the day, and his glory will remain. This has been a fascinating conversation. I hope we've made you think. I hope we've made you wrestle with some of these things and to say, what would I do in that situation? I think these are all things that drive us to the Word of God. They drive us to Jesus. They drive us to a transcendent spiritual salvation and human salvation that we all need through Jesus Christ. And I hope that encourages you, however you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this. So thanks again for joining us on Life Talks. Dan and I will be here. We're not going to upload ourselves so you can listen to Life Talks infinitely. That one day there will be the final Life Talks.
Oh, that makes me sad. I hope it's not this one.
It won't. Thank you so much for joining us on Life Talks. We'll talk to you next time.